All right, we are live. This is episode 54 of the Deconstruction podcast brought to you by Jobtable, the simplest way to grow and manage your construction business. As always, we are going to kick it off with this wasn't a review. It was actually a message that I got from one of our clients, new client recently. So this is Robert. He's a plumbing contractor in Toronto. So, hey, bro, thanks for the ongoing support as I learn your system. I think it's fantastic, by the way. Keep up the great work. I look forward to using this for years to come. So short and sweet, but, great review. And that's what we want. As long as our clients are in business, like that's how long they should be using Jobtable. That's our objective. That's our goal. So we want to grow alongside with our clients.
Shout out to Robert.
Yeah. All right. Today we have a very special guest. We have Jada Finch. She's the owner of Pink Collar Contracting and Tile. She's part of a growing wave of women making serious moves in the trades. She's earning her reputation the right way through skill, hard work, real job site experience, with over 43,000 followers on Instagram, which is crazy.
Wow.
Jada shares what it actually looks like to build a trade business, master her craft, and just stand out in a traditionally male-dominated industry. So we're excited to dig into her story, her work, and hear about some of the challenges and opportunities as a female in the trades. So Jada, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me and for saying that. That's very nice. I'm very happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, no, pleasure is all ours. Kick things off, if you don't mind. Take a minute or two just to tell us a bit about your background and how you ended up with a career in the trades.
For sure. So I started Pink Collar Contracting just over a year ago now. So it's a baby business. But before then, I've been working in construction for 6 years. I started when I was 16, 22 now. So sure, not that many years of experience, but honestly, it's been my whole life and I love it that way. My dad's a contractor, so from a really young age, he had me painting my bedroom, building furniture, things like that. But he never really let me work on his job sites. He just let me use a vacuum, and that was about it. So when COVID hit, I got a job with his tiler. I was 16 years old, working on high rises in downtown Toronto, and I fell in love right away.
Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. So you got kind of, so your dad has been a contractor that you kind of were, our family was in construction from the beginning. So that's how you were exposed early on.
Yeah, exactly. His main trade's painting, but he does a little bit of everything. But it's really been cool to see his business grow kind of alongside mine, and we work together really well. Yeah, it's a different dynamic working with your dad sometimes, but it's also like a perfect role model to have.
Do you mostly do tile work or do you do everything?
I would like to mostly do tile work. It's definitely my niche and something that I would like to do in the future. One day, my dream is to just do tile every day. But right now, it's a little bit of everything: bathroom renos and kitchen renos. Kind of just doing whatever clients want as I'm starting out.
That's awesome.
Nice. That's
Awesome.
great. That's amazing. So I'm curious, like, did you, when you came into this industry, like, did you face any stereotypes or pushback from family, friends when you decided to pursue this career path?
Yeah, I have to say that I've been really lucky with my coworkers and my bosses, like supporting me and wanting to see me grow. Like this one guy, Tony, I've been working with him for 5 years, and he's got a little girl and he's got a wife, and he just thinks it's so cool that I'm doing what I'm doing. And like from the beginning, we were working in huge commercial sites, and he would walk me to my truck every day, like just make sure I was safe. And I've been really fortunate working around guys like that mostly. But of course, then sometimes you have the older generations who just really aren't a fan of people or young women working in the trades. The main way that comes across is like, I guess I was raised by my dad. When you meet someone, you shake your hand, look them in the eye. My name's Jada Finch. Nice to meet you. What's your name? And sometimes the older generations, they don't do that. They won't shake my hand. They won't look me in the eye. And it happens quite often, like every month, I'd say. New trade walks on site and somebody doesn't want to do that, and that's okay. But it's just like a sign of disrespect, something that I've learned to deal with. But that's something I'd like to see change.
That's awesome.
Really? So you that happens to you every month, you'd say?
Oh yeah, yeah, and it definitely is the older generations. I'd say the younger generations are a little bit more welcoming and curious. But yeah, stuff like that happens quite often.
Did you get any pushback of your dad trying to keep you out of the trades, or was he all for you kind of going in? Like maybe like mainly at the beginning. I know obviously now you proved your worth, but did you find, because speaking from somebody, I have two little girls as well,
Yeah.
and I always look at like the construction industry. It is a rough industry, right? And there is a lot of disrespect, and I feel like because it's always been a man's world, like they always operate all kind of, let's just say, like a locker room, right? Like the things that
Yeah.
are kind of like holy, like way out of left field. And the way I look at it, the way it is having daughters, I look at it like I would try to keep them away, just because, like you said, I don't want my daughter going to work every day and being disrespected, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting question. It's kind of a little bit of both. Like my dad raised me to be tough. I've always kind of been a tomboy. Like in high school, I played on the boys' soccer team, so I got teased and whatever with that. It's kind of messy. But my dad raised me to be tough. So when I told him that I was gonna go and work in construction, he just said, like, remember what I taught you. Remember to stand up for yourself. Don't be disrespectful. And I think like his message is yes, don't be disrespectful to others, but don't take disrespect. Like it's a balance. If you notice that someone's not treating you right, kind of know when to step back and just accept that that's their opinion, and know when to stand up for yourself. So that's kind of always been his message, and I think it's an important one.
That's
Jada,
amazing.
I'd love to get your take on this. When me and Johnny were in trade school many years ago, John, I don't even know if you remember this. There was a feminist class in that college, and one of the girls came into our classroom, and she had this whole presentation about women in construction. So where her talk kind of derailed is where we kind of started questioning her on the ability of a female, where in plumbing you're required to be able to pick up a length of 6-inch cast iron and put it on your
Yeah.
shoulder. So my objection was not that I have anything against women in the trades whatsoever, but I kind of asked her, like, are you able to pick up a length of 6-inch pipe? She goes, no, absolutely not. So I said, well, what would you expect an employer to do if he can hire someone that is able to do that versus someone who can't? And she said, well, they have to make accommodations. So if they have to get somebody to help lift that pipe, then that's what they have to do. And this is before I had a business or anything. And even then, that made no sense to me as an employee, right? I'm like, why would somebody hire two people to do one person's job? And that's what I was really trying to, like, the message I was trying to convey to her is like, this is not a male female issue. This is, are you able to do the job or not? Whether you're black, white, male, or female, right? So I remember thinking to myself that, like, that whole, like, and again, I don't want to say like blanketed that like that's what feminism is or whatever, but I just remember her coming from a feminist class. I felt that it hurt her cause, that it actually kind of put a blemish on women in construction in general, right? Where a girl like you, who's literally busting her ass and proving her worth, you'd look at that and be like, yeah, obviously, if I can't do the job, no one's going to hire me to do the job. I don't expect you to make special accommodations for me, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think of that?
I'm really happy you brought that up because I remember my first day working with a tile company. We were demoing a bathroom, and my boss said, "Carry that toilet downstairs." And I had to go all the way down the stairs, all the way to the truck, and he said, "Do it yourself." And I could not lift the toilet myself when I was 16 years old. But now I have absolutely no problem lifting a toilet myself because I knew that's something I had to do to be good at my job. I don't want to be relying on people. I don't want to have to ask to help me carry a sheet of drywall. So that's something that personally I went to the gym every day to get stronger because I want to do this job properly. Because you're right, why would you hire two people to do the job that one person can do? And I think that's kind of where the feminist cause does get messy. Obviously, I'm a feminist. Like, I want to be in this business, but I don't think that it's a woman and man can do the same thing. I think it should be that women and man have different strengths and different qualities, and that should be brought to the table too. Like, okay, maybe in general, women have maybe better attention to detail and are a little bit cleaner on site. And sure, men have the brute strength and the brute force and all these other amazing qualities. But you're right, at the end of the day, the job has to get done. And if you're one person, you got to have the strength and the ability to do it. So I totally agree with you.
And I think that's a great point too, because we have all kinds of plumbers in our company. We have guys that are very fast, but tend to be a bit sloppy. We have guys that are slow like a turtle, but they're very meticulous, and they're the only guys we trust for certain projects. So I can also see that, with like kind of a counter argument to myself is, and to your point is that sometimes a female may have certain skills where that outshines all the other men that are on that in that trade, where she falters and she can't pick up a pipe, she can redeem herself by having all these other excellent qualities, right? So I think it's a case by case, and again, it's not just male to female, it's a
No.
person to person thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a person to person, because that's what I was going to say there too, Charlie, because in the end of it, there's a job that has to get done, right? And a lot of times, like you said, and Jada, I know you agreed that, if we have to be able to carry this pipe to do this job, no matter where you're from, you have to be able to do it, right? And we've hired men that, and Charlie, you're gonna know who I'm talking about. We had this guy, he was huge, huge. Like, you look at this guy and it's like, wow, this guy's like a bear. And then guess what? Every time he picked up a pipe, he was the biggest complainer. But then you had a guy that was 5'5", 130 pounds, soaking wet, and this
Yeah.
guy's carrying it like it's nothing, right? So I think it just comes down to being qualified for the trade. And it's funny that you say that, the attention to detail, because I always say that's like one of like women's like biggest strengths. And you being in tile, it's like I could just imagine, the work that you put into it, because the corners, the leveling, it's not about the speed, it's about it's about being very meticulous. Like, I remember meeting this one tile guy, and he was from Europe, and it was like a dying art, where I remember when he was doing a corner, like, he would sit there and bevel it to a point where, like, he was literally taking like stone and tile, and he was making like his own shapes out of it. And I didn't even know that was even possible, right? Like, that's like
Yeah, it's
old,
amazing.
yeah, it's like an old school art. And I remember looking at that, and I was like, oh my God, like, any tile company would die to get you, right? But at the same time, here in North America, I also find, and we talk about this a lot on our show, is that the craft is dying, and a lot of
Yes.
people, it comes down to money, right? So it's like, how can you transfer that quality and that attention to detail down to, like, let's just say an hourly rate? You know what I mean? When it's like, well, I take a little bit longer to do this, but when I'm done, it looks like a piece of art, right? It's not going to look like your typical, tiled bathroom, right? That's where I always find that, especially on tiling, tile takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of time because, the floor is done, whether it's level or not, whether it's going to meet the floor on the outside, the way the tub was set in place, the way the drywall was done, the way the taping was done. In the end of it, that's all your problem in the end, right? Like to make everything perfect, right? So I'm assuming you're very meticulous. So how do you transfer that down to like an hourly rate and still compete with the people like
Yeah.
out there, right?
Yeah, that's some. I was actually thinking about this today. I hear a lot of people say that like the passion is dying, like the attention to detail is dying with the younger generation. And I kind of looking at my generation and seeing what we're coming into, and we're coming into a time where money's tight, materials expensive, and bosses are wanting the work done fast. So it's like this double standard where this new generation is expected to have all this like attention to detail and focus, but at the same time they're being rushed, and they're like, get this job done as fast as possible, as quick as you can, like money, money, money. So it's like, okay, you want us to have this attention to detail and this passion, but you got to teach us that too. So it's kind of like this double-edged sword, and I don't know how to resolve that. It's tough times for that now. But at the end of the day, like, no matter your age, no matter how long you've been in the business, like, you just got to do good work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
that's a
answer.
good point. Speaking on skills, though, like what skills or traits do you think you bring as a woman that might be like undervalued or like give you an edge? Like attention to detail. Any other skill?
Yeah, I think like the organization, like when you, Costa, when you were showing me the job table, like I was in love with how organized it was, like the colors, the schedule, like that spoke to me. And I kind of reflected on what I bring to the job site, with my organization in that sense too. Like my daily schedule, my daily goals, the week, like lining it all up and making a list of tools every single day. Like as soon as I'm on site, there's a list. As soon as I leave, there's a list, and it's communicated with the team. And I have worked with other people who don't do that. And I don't know if it is a feminine trait, but that's something that I definitely pride myself in doing and think that it brings something good to the
Yeah,
table.
I think that's just a
That's
trait across the board. Like you
I
have to be.
Yeah,
well,
really
yes,
for guys,
yes.
to be honest.
Yes and no. I was actually going to say the color coding that you see there. When we were going to design Jobtable, my wife, she was my office manager, and it's like you go into the filing cabinets, and it's like the way everything, even to this, like the way she spells, it's just so clean.
Yeah.
It's like everything's color coded, right? And then it's like you go into my filing cabinet, and it's just like
Thrown in there.
yeah, it looks like a hot mess, right? So I'm glad that you brought that up actually, that you love the way it was color coded, because that's literally what we try to do, right? That's one thing that 100%, again, getting back to like traits of men, women, it doesn't matter, right? There's skills that anybody can bring to the table, and there's skills that people just don't have, right? And the reality is like you said, I could just imagine you going to a job site and just like looking at, your organization and the way you have everything laid out. It's probably everything's color coded, probably highlighted. You have certain colors for certain things, and trust me, I that's why. Look, my estimator, it's a female. I had many people, apply for the job, and it's just like it's the organization, right? It's like and she came from a site as well, right? And she just wanted to get kind of like off the tools and come into an office. And that was one thing that I always noticed, that it's like 100% when it comes down to like that organization, putting everything together when everything's a hot mess. It's like that's where I noticed the way everything's color coded and stuff like that. Like I always looked at it before. Cares, who cares if you're using blue for this or yellow for that? But when you see it, and the second you start to implement a system like that, you start looking at it, it's like, oh, that's why, right? Once you look at it, it's like, I know, red is for this is important, blue is for, hypothetically this is done, or whatever, right? So I noticed that the organization is extremely important, right? And the color coding and the way you stay on top of things, because look, as well as I do, being on job sites, a lot of us, we're disorganized. Like, you're good at your craft, but you suck at organizing.
I can't
That's
tell you
why,
how many times,
sorry.
sorry, I was gonna say quickly, I can't tell you how many times I've been on a job site and it looks like a bomb exploded and there's just shit everywhere. And the problem with that is production goes down substantially, right? And I remember I was one of those guys, I was very, very organized. So it's like, all the fittings have to go back in the boxes, label them, keep them up against the wall, right? And I was on a job site this morning, and same thing. It looked like a bomb went off, and it blows my mind. I have to continue to like reinforce that idea that, guys, we have to keep it clean. If you have a clean workspace, your mind is clear, and you can get more work done, right? And at the end of the day, contractors, your general contractors will come on the site, and they're going to see how you guys are working. They don't want to come onto one of their job sites that they might have a meeting with their client. They come on, and yeah, the plumbers are moving along fast, but it's shit everywhere. Right? They want professionals that are clean, that are quick, and that are efficient, right?
Yeah, the big thing too is like the clients. Like the clients see that at the end of the day. And I know you guys know that with Jobtable too, like how clean the invoices are and the estimates, like everything like that. Like at the end of the day, it's the client. The client seeing your organization, how clean you are and how organized you are is the type of work you're gonna do. And something like that I think about too is how you show up, like how you look, honestly. Like, yeah, some days I want to go to work in my messy tile pants and my baggy sweater and just get the job done. But how you look is how your clients perceive you. How your invoices look is how your clients perceive you. How organized all your tools are. At the end of the day, that's your client's perception of you and if they're going to hire you again.
Absolutely.
That's so true. And I can't tell you how many times, even still today, I speak to owners of companies that are like 10, 15, 20 years in, who are still presenting their quotes and invoices through like, a messy email or like a text message or like literally a handwritten quote, and like you said, like the fact that you understand that from day one, it's like how you present yourself, how you present that quote, that invoice, it goes a long way. Like it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it's funny. After we talked on the Jobtable demo, I had a carpet guy come in and do a quote, and he gave me a handwritten quote. Right there, he wrote his price down, handed it to me. I'm like, Okay, I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's the first time that happened to me.
Yeah, I say this story. I've said this story a few times, but like that happened to me too. I was getting a quote for some like arborists. Had like three companies come out to do some pruning at my house, and the first guy who comes out, like we hit it off. Like I'm like for sure, I'm just gonna go with this guy. He was really good at seemed good, and so he walks around. He's like, give me like 20 minutes, I'll prepare the quote. So I'm like, cool. I come back inside. He knocks on my door after, and like he hands me a handwritten quote with like chicken scratch. And I was like kind of like taken back. I was like, okay, I'll review this. Like I couldn't even read like 70% of it. Like I could not read. And like I'm not gonna call him now. Like I'm busy. I'm not gonna call him like, hey, what does this say? Like what does this number say? So like I ended up going with the second guy who sent me a quote like properly, like online, digitally. I can easily approve it. So now that just got me thinking like that guy was really skilled, the first guy, but like how many jobs is he losing and missing out on because of how he's presenting a quote, you know? So
Yeah, it's all on image, and I think you hit it on the head there too, Jada, when you were explaining. A lot of times we just want to go to work, and it's like I'm having one of those off days, or I'm a little bit tired, or I have so much on my mind that I need to get done, and it's like you said, go there and whatever you find quickly, like or whatever's comfortable to wear. But the reality is when you're walking in or you're going to see a client, it's the image, it's how you're presenting yourself, right? And truthfully, I was gonna say too, like only being 22 and getting into the industry only 6 years ago, it seems like you've learned a lot, and I like I tip my cap to you for learning that at such a young age and so rapidly, because I'll tell you right now, like from what you explain, if I'm hiring people to do something and you're coming, clean, providing me a quote, understanding, it is about scheduling, how I'm going to get it done. I'm going to explain it to you, my presentation, everything like that. I think you're miles away from people that have been in the industry now for 20, 25 years, truthfully.
Thank
Like
you.
just from talking to you just here, because that's one thing that a lot of people have troubles grasping, right? You could be a good tradesman, you could be good at your craft, but the second you get into business is a whole other level than just being a tiler, right? Now you got
For
now you
sure.
got
Learning
now
that.
exactly, yeah, right? Like you can be amazing at your craft, but if you suck at business, how many jobs are you really going to get, right? You're missing out on a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and one thing I really debated, like when starting my business, was the name. Like I went with pink collar. It's pretty bold. Obviously, I'm a female in trades, and I went back and forth with that because I just want to be known for my good work. I didn't know if I wanted to label myself as just a tradeswoman, but at the end of the day, like that's my identity. And I think honestly in business, it kind of does give me an upper hand. Like I get a lot of calls from single women. They trust me in their house and kind of is a marketing strategy. Some guys have said it's not fair. You only get jobs because you're a woman. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I do. Maybe I do
yeah,
get some jobs because I'm a woman,
step up
but
your
I'm getting more
marketing.
jobs than you.
Yeah,
What are you going to
step up the
But
marketing.
regardless, it is a topic, right? Like we're sitting here talking about
Yeah.
it. It is on people's minds. It makes me think about something. I was actually speaking to somebody a couple of weeks ago. They're a business owner. It's not the first time I've had this conversation. And he was telling me that he was interviewing a few people, and one of them was a girl who was probably one of the top candidates for the position. Again, it's a trade company. And he told me that he decided not to hire her. And the reason was because, and these are the two main reasons that always come up, was he felt that she would be a distraction, possibly, for all the other workers. And the second reason was he was worried that something might happen where she comes up to him and she says, I've been sexually harassed or this, and just kind of, and he didn't want the unnecessary possibility of that happening, right? You being a female, obviously you're a business owner, but what do you say to these, like what advice can you give these girls, and what advice can you give company owners like myself, like this guy I'm talking about? Like how do we kind of change the direction of that thought process to kind of get us over that hump and just kind of look at everybody as equals and not have to worry about these things? Or is it a legitimate concern? Is it something that he should be worried about?
Yeah, I'd say the distraction thing is really interesting because that's something that comes up a lot on social media. Like I make videos for a couple of brands and their feedback sometimes has kind of been like, wow, like your videos are getting a lot of really good response, But then there's these comments where guys are like, if you were on my site, and they're saying like vulgar things that nobody should say to anyone. But I feel like that's a lot online. In person, I don't know what
Yeah, they talk.
that's
Yeah,
like. Like, I
yeah.
don't know if that like correlates in person. I'd like to believe that it doesn't. So I don't really know on that one. That's interesting. I'd see that that's kind of a conversation that might have to happen amongst the men. Like, how can we not be distracted by a woman and just work with her? But at the same time, like along those lines, like kind of like I said about what you wear, like I see a lot of girls showing up in these little shorts or like this little tank top, and obviously, you're never asking for it. Never ever will say that. But like, cover up. You're on site with 40 dudes. Like, sorry, wear a t-shirt, wear long pants. Like, this is like, it's not even like a sexualization thing. It's a safety thing. Like, everyone's wearing a t-shirt and pants. Wear a t-shirt and pants.
Common
Um,
sense.
yeah, I tell every girl that. I'm like, if you're coming on my site, if you're working with me, you are wearing the same clothes that the guys are wearing. End of
Yeah,
story.
it's like those things you
So
see on Instagram where a girl shows up at the gym wearing a thong and she's doing squats in front of a guy, and then she's getting mad at him for
yeah,
looking at her.
it's ridiculous, and it's the same thing at work. It's like wear what you're supposed to wear to be safe. And I think it's like for business owners, if you're looking to hire a woman, make that the rule.
Yeah,
Like
Honestly, sorry, John. I think that's such a good point that you made. That when push comes to shove, when she actually shows up to do the job and she's professional and she's dressed appropriately, nobody's gonna catcall her. Nobody's gonna bother her. You know, it's business as usual. I think it's just like this mental hurdle that these guys have to just overcome.
yeah, and it's like this weird like balance between kind of blending in but also like not hiding yourself. Like when I first started, like I just had this mentality that I had to be like a boy, like I had to be just like everyone else. And I think that mentality is right to some extent. Like yeah, I should try to fit in and be with the crew, but at the same time like I am a woman and it's this interesting balance of figuring out like how you should act, like be yourself but be professional.
stand
So I
out.
think yeah, don't stand out. Like you don't need to be doing that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
I was just gonna say, I agree to a certain extent, but like you said with the blue, like, blue pink collar, it's like, you know what, wear it, stand out, even though, like, yes, you got to blend in on site because everybody's there to do it. And look, I'm gonna be honest with you, Jada, lay it out on the table, man to woman. No matter what you do, a woman is always gonna face these, let's just say, these men on site that are gonna give them problems, right? And again, unfortunately, it's things that are gonna be said. And I know a lot of women, they take it offensively. But look, like me and Charlie, we grew up in the old school, right? I've had hammers thrown at me. I've been called things that it makes me want to literally rip this guy's face off and go to jail, right? Because they know how to get under your skin. And I think
Yeah.
that's what you were saying, just like your dad, he taught you how to be tough. And in construction, you need to have thick skin. So that's my one and only thing that it's like for any woman getting in the trade, just understand you have to have thick skin. You are going to face adversity. And I don't think it's just on the premise of being a woman. I also think it's on the premise of just these are rough guys, like they truly are. Like some of them are, some of them have been in and out of jail. Some of them have, like turned their life around. Some of them, and that's the beauty of construction, that you have walks from all types of life that somebody might have been a drug addict, somebody might have been an ex-convict, but they were able to turn their life around and do something with their hands and build something and like again, just turn their life around. And unfortunately, sometimes you will face adversity. I just feel like sometimes, like you said, like it's like the women have to understand that when you come onto site, you're gonna face it, and it sucks. I know it's unfortunate, but it's all on, like you said, how you deal with it, knowing how to be able to take a step back. And you know what? They give it, you give it back. Like they say something, it's like, hey, buddy, fuck off. How about that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
there's
like,
a
holy
time and a
shit.
place to say that, but some people will say like maybe I'm a little bit too complacent, maybe I'm a pushover. But no, there's a time and a place to just take it. Like I'm only gonna see this guy one time and he says something to me I don't like. Am I really gonna work myself up and get agitated and get angry and snap back at him? No, I'm gonna take it because sometimes that is more professional, like to show that like I am in control of myself. I hold my own power. What you say doesn't affect me. I think that sometimes like being able to stay silent in those moments, like that is powerful. And I think sometimes women can get like this bad rap of being like bitchy because they snap back and they start swearing and whatever. And I think that sometimes that's right, but you got to know when's the right time and like
And when to
finding
back
that.
off. Yeah,
Listen,
Yeah.
and when to
it's
back off, because it's the same with dealing with asshole clients, right? Again, I dealt with one today, right? Charlie had enough of one, and I had to step in and call the guy, and he's a tough nut to deal with, right? But I always find you kill them with kindness, it's
Yes.
almost like they feel stupid for even like acting the way they did. They might not admit it, but you can tell by the end of the conversation where they're the one who is kind of backing down, and it's kind of like, some people just don't have sorry in their vocabulary, or I didn't mean to do that, right? But you'll notice that they'll back down when you kill with kindness. It's not all about, just going head to head with somebody. So I'm glad that you've already, kind of inherited that skill already at again, only 6 years in, which is really good.
Yeah, and I guess kind of what you were saying, Charlie, too, about like advice for someone hiring a woman. I would say that hiring young people in general, I'd say you have to find someone who's resilient because, like you were saying, Johnny, like it can be a rough place to work. And nowadays, unfortunately, in society, like my generation, there's kind of a problem with like this stress and anxiety and fear. And bringing that onto a job site can be like a really complex dynamic, woman or not. But I just feel like my generation now, like they're so fearful and anxious of things that are going to happen. Like when you're hiring, you got to try and find someone who's resilient and willing to like take that constructive criticism and work hard and work through all like the ups and the downs of starting in construction.
Yeah, that's very well said. And honestly, good advice for girls going into the trades, and not even just girls. I think that's the problem. Like we keep like separating it girls. It's just anybody going to trades. To your example where it's like somebody says something to you, just having thick skin, that's the key. Guys are going to argue with guys as well. And you in construction, you need to learn that you are going to get verbally abused, whether you're a girl or a guy. You need to learn how to take it, but at the same time, you need to learn how to stand your ground respectfully without throwing fists, right? And I think the girl power thing can actually, it can actually be a downfall. And I'll give you an example. I'm being brutally honest with you, okay? There's a there's a general contractor who is very clearly female owned and operated. I don't think they're around anymore, but I used to drive by their storefront all the time, which is number one strange thing is that a general contractor has a storefront. This is not something that you normally see, right? You're not going to see like Joe the Builder's storefront. You can walk in and they are very clearly like, female owned. Like their logo is like, it's all pink. It's like a silhouette of a girl. It's like girls on tools, hire the best women. And it's all woman based, right? And I remember seeing that and I looked them up and let's just say that the owner is, is a very masculine female who clearly prefers the females, right? But everything is like, I hate men. It's just like you just get this feeling where it's like, fuck men, we can do it better. And it's like she went like to me the wrong direction with it, right? She's like too much girl power this, you have to hire us. Where it's like, don't be a competitor. Like this is why these issues are happening, is because you're isolating yourself over here on the left, right? Where it's like, just be a construction worker, be the best at your craft and the work will come. Me and Johnny built our entire business on quality, right? Now, to me, qualities will supersede anything. People will argue that, this day and age, the price will talk, right? And yeah, listen, you might land a few more jobs if your price is low, but once you fuck those jobs up, you're not going to be bidding for those people again. So quality once again rises to the top, right? You have to, there obviously is a balance between, you have to have a competitive price and keep that quality, maintain it. But I think the point is that we have to stop looking at everybody as male and female and honestly just be the best construction worker that
Yes.
you can be, and no one will even pay it any mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, like I find that so frustrating sometimes because like a lot of people ask me about my bad experiences in the industry. And of course, like I'm open, I'll tell you anything bad that's happened to me in construction. But like it's such a small percentage. Like every day I go to work with men and I would not be where I am without men. I was I've worked with one woman before, and she's amazing. She's so close to my age, and she's taught me some things. But besides that, everything I've learned is from a man, and they want to see me grow, and they are by my side to this day. So like we got to work together. There's no differences. We're all construction workers. Like I'm so grateful for all the men who taught me everything. So it frustrates me to like see that someone's taken that approach and that side to it when there's such an other side of like males and females working together, like the older generations and the younger generations working together. Like it's really amazing.
And
So
we truly complement each other, you know?
Yeah,
yeah.
we do. Like look at even, he hates when I call him my barber, right? My hairdresser, let's call him, right? He does women's hair. You know what I mean? So it's like there's no different like when you look at women in the trade compared to a hairdresser, right? How many men do you see doing women's hair, right? To, and you got to look at it the same way, because when women come in, what happens? That's kind of like a women's space where they all gossip, they all kind of gather together, they tell their stories, right? And it's kind of the same with men on a job site, right? But now you got this man he's amazing at his craft, and there's a reason why women go to him all the time, right? And it's the same as you coming in, right? And coming into the job site, and it's like, hey, Jada, she's amazing at tile, buddy. If you need tile done, you call this girl, she'll kill it, right? So it's kind of like the same thing, and getting back to like what you were saying, Charlie, and I remember we had that discussion. It's like, yeah, like we don't need to isolate. Like if you're gonna come in and try to like, again, put your elbows up and then start talking bad about all the men on the field, that's not going to work really well for you when you walk into, a job site, right? And vice versa. If a man tries to do that, again, imagine this hairdresser is just talking bad about all women while he's doing their hair. They're going to be like, well, then get out of here. I don't want you to do my hair. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about, right? So I think that it is that barrier that has to be just like kind of knocked down, but at the same time, the expectations known there, right? Like he tells me stories, again, getting back to like, him being a hairdresser, he tells me the crazy stories he hears about the women, right? And it's like, but what am I going to do? Like this is the trade I picked. I got, I got to go with it. I got to listen to it. Sometimes it's a little bit too much information for me, or I'll laugh and, it's not a point that I have to laugh. But it's the same when you transfer it into construction, where it's like, look, you're stepping onto a field where it's mainly male dominated, right? So as long as you have that thick skin, you have that resilience, like you said, you're tough, you know what to expect, you know how to handle yourself. Like you said, people ask you about the rough times, or the times that you've had on the field. But my question is, how many great times have you had on the field? How many good experiences, right?
Yeah, and when I started my social media, like I really took the women in trades angle, and I still do, obviously. But my goal was kind of just to inspire more women to enter the trades by letting them know that it is a welcoming place and letting them know the good experience and not ignoring the bad, but just like using the good as motivation. Like we need more workers. It's a great place for women. Like your skills can shine. So trying to take that positive approach instead of the negative approach. And then it's kind of morphed like into just inspiring youth and the younger generations to enter the trades, because I see so many people in their like 30s, 40s, 50s trying to get into the trades and going back to school because they're tired of their desk jobs. So I'm trying to reach that younger crowd who maybe even hasn't gone to university yet and hasn't wasted all their money, and they can just go straight into trade school or just get an apprenticeship job or start as a laborer. So trying to switch to reaching just youth in general, maybe not just women.
That's amazing. So you're like a power figure now.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, a lot of these discussions about women in trades focus on, what companies can do to welcome or encourage women. I think it's one of these things, like, is it that, or just whether it's a woman or whoever else, like, you just have to adapt to the environment that you're in. I don't think you can ask these companies and organizations to adapt the other way. Like, I think it just, again, has nothing to do with being a woman. Just like whoever's coming into this industry, you have to understand how to deal with people and how to adapt.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and they're doing a lot to get women in the trades now. Like there is endless opportunities. If anyone anywhere around Canada, America, you can look up organizations near me funding women in trades, like school offers for free. Like there's so many opportunities. Like it's a golden time. It's really, really a golden time. Like we need workers, and there's so many opportunities out there. So
See, I'm more along the lines of what you did, right? Just go to the site, learn it,
Mm,
right? That's the only way to get a real feel for it because
yeah.
look, I get it. Like we've had to go to trade school. Trade school is there. You have to go through it for certain red seal trades. But I always say you want a you want to know what it really is. Like we just had a co-op student, which I don't take co-op students either for the same reason. See, this is a prime example where it's not just about women in the trades. It's because, you're bringing a kid through high school. You don't know what you're expecting. And they come in and they start seeing this rough environment. Now they're going back, to their teacher. Their teacher's calling the company. It's like, well, they're hearing this on the site and whatever. It's like, I can't control the whole site, right? Like we're only one sub-trade, right? So if you heard these people talking like this, like, what do you want me to do? It's like, well, he's only 15 or he's only 16. And it's like, well, then don't send him to the sites. You know what I mean? Because this is the real world, right? You can go to school. You can learn as much as you can in a classroom, in a practical environment where they build the boots. But look, just like you explained, right? You went with your dad. You went to the sites. You saw it. You saw how raw it is and what the real world experience is, right? So again, I think that's the best way. Truly, it doesn't matter male, female, doesn't matter where you come from. I think that is the best way to get a real experience of if this is for you or not. If you have not been in the trade, just go there. Even if you say like, listen, man, pay me minimum wage for the next 2 days. Just give me a shot. You know what I mean? I think truly, I don't know if everybody agrees in this room, but I think that is the best way because now you're going to get a real feeling for what it's like. You're going to get a real feeling for what your body feels like at the end of a hard working day. And then you can really calculate in your head if this is what, I want to do with the rest of my life. Like I remember my oldest brother, because I dropped out of school, right? And I got into the trades, maybe like 2 months before I turned 16. And I remember my brother telling me, if the brain doesn't want to work, the body has to suffer, right? So it's like, you want to get into construction, understand, it's physical hard labor.
Yeah, I think I remember this thing I did when I think I was 16 still. I met this contractor through the Tyler, and I knew he was hanging doors like in this big warehouse. And I said to him, I said, "Hey, like I have absolutely no experience with doors, no idea what I'm doing. Can I come with you for one day for free? Can you please teach me how to hang doors?" And I went with him for the day and didn't know anything that I was doing, but I obviously knew how to use the tools, and he taught me for the whole day. And at the end of the day, he paid me anyways. And I think it's kind of like that mentality of like going in to learn and like not just expecting the knowledge from it that like I want some youth to have, like show that initiative. It's not just about the paycheck. It's about learning about a career. It's about learning skills and networking. Obviously there's a lot of ways to make good money in the trades, but at the end of the day, it's skills and networking that are really going to build you as a person and build your future.
And I think that's a powerful. Statement that you just made. That it's better to just go out there and learn, right? Like you went out there and you put yourself out there, right? And I think that is truthfully what's lacking with youth today, truthfully. And I think that what is lacking is that a lot of people, they are scared to put themselves out there, right? They hide behind a screen, they hide behind a resume, right? I always say I was never out of work because you know what? If this company got slow and there was a bunch of layoffs, I would literally pick up my boots, my tools, I'd load it into my car. I'd drive around the shops the next morning. If I saw people loading up and I saw it was a plumbing company, I would literally pull up, ask to speak to the owner. And this is where I feel, again, you need to put yourself out there. Like what you did to just walk up to that gentleman and ask him, hey, I have no experience. I don't know what I'm doing. I want to learn. I'll come. I'll even come for free. I just want to try it for a day. Do you mind doing that? That guy probably looked at you and was like, holy, I don't even have 30-year-olds coming up to me and saying this, right? So I think that is one of the most powerful statements, right? It's like for the youth. It's like, dude, just get up and just go do
Yeah,
it.
just go.
Don't be scared. There's nothing. Okay, you fail. Guess what? You don't know anything. You're there to learn anyway. So what are you going to fail at? Fail at, doing something you have no idea what you're doing. That's what you're there to do, is learn, right? You're not scared to go to a classroom and start a new course when you don't know nothing. You're there to learn. But the difference is you have to pay to go to that course. Here,
Yeah.
you can either volunteer your time where you're not paying for nothing. You just volunteering your time, or like you said, the guy paid you at the end of the day.
I want to come back quickly to something you said, maybe a little subliminally, but I think I think you're going to start seeing way more younger people, including a lot of more women, come into the trades because of what you said about, schooling being a waste of money.
Yeah.
And coming from someone who graduated university, and we talk about this a lot too. I think more people are waking up to the fact that post-secondary, in most cases, is a waste of money. So, what are your thoughts on that? Did you ever have an idea to like go to college, or was that
Yeah.
never even in the picture for you?
Yeah, in high school, like I had amazing grades. Like my average was in the 90s. Like I had soccer scholarships. Like I was going to university. And that's where like I thank God for COVID that took me away from that path, because I just see like I hear from so many of my friends now, they're still in school. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and they're finishing school with no idea what they're going to do. So it's like there was so much pressure, like looking back, like go to school, take the route you're supposed to, the safe path. And sure, like my path maybe wasn't, it's not stable, it's not safe, but like I'm so much better off now. Like I have no debt, I have all these skills, like I have all these goals for my future. And I'm just like kind of reflecting on other people my age who don't have that direction. So I'm just really, really grateful that I didn't take that
Yeah.
path.
Yeah, no, that's very wise. I mean, I feel you're wise beyond your years, and you made, in my opinion, a great decision. And it's going to be one of these decisions that the people who went the other way are going to look back, 10 years from now and kind of question, their path. But kudos to you. Uh, I'm curious to ask as well, like, you're 1 year into your own business, but you've been in the trades for 6 years. Um, what was harder, or what is harder right now? Was it like breaking into the trades or earning the respect once you're in?
I'd say it was kind of like that in between period, because obviously after like 5 years, maybe even a little bit early, after like 3 years, I thought I knew a lot. I was getting pretty good at a lot of different skills. I worked for a variety of different companies and things like that. And I started doing my own jobs like 3 years in. And then I kind of realized I was not ready. I was not ready after 3 years to start doing like full bathroom renos by myself, learned that the hard way, made some mistakes, and then decided to like take a step back again for another year, get some more experience, and then make the decision to go back into business and do it right. So I'd say it's kind of like that in between period where you're confident in your skills, but you're not quite ready to like be fully on your own. And that's why now, like starting my business, it's kind of taking it slow. And that's why I'm very grateful to have found Jobtable, because it's going to grow with me and I have like a strong foundation. So I just say like kind of breaking into business and making sure you're really ready, making sure you have the right connections and the right foundation to grow off of. Because, obviously you're not going to grow anywhere off of a messy foundation or if you don't have all the skills. So,
Yeah, amazing. I'm telling you, wise beyond your
I
years.
know. I was just
I
about
know
to say.
you.
I was just about to say. Yeah, you're very. Yeah, yeah.
Very good.
I never would have guessed. That you've been in the trade for only 5, 6 years and only 22 years old. Because, yeah,
people
you're.
guess I'm 30, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, but it's not. It's not by looks. It's just. It's
a
the way you're
compliment.
talking. Yeah, it's a compliment. Honestly, it really is, because it's people have been in this industry for 30 years and they still don't see it the way you're talking, right? So it just seems like you have very good fundamentals behind you, and maybe it is like you said, you learned a lot off your dad and certain people you've learned like you've met in the trades, but yeah, again, that's why I was just laughing as you were speaking, because it's like, yeah, very wise beyond your years, and that's like a huge compliment.
Thank you. But that's the key, like I really want to get across to young people is like it's all about learning now. Like we have this idea in our mind that you go to school and you get the best job you can right out of school and like grind and save until you're retired. But like kind of like just start working. Figure out what you like go work for a general contractor and do it for a month and maybe say you hate it and then go to school, or just work for a plumber and fall in love with plumbing. Like just like play around with your career and play around with your life until you find like the place you belong and something you want to do for the rest of your life. And the trades is just like the perfect opportunity for that, because you get to do so many different things. Like not just trades wise, but you get to network with so many different people and like work with people from all different wakes of life that like it just helps you like grow so much as a person in general. So
Yeah. And you don't realize how young you are, like early 20s.
mm,
Like, I feel like a lot of people at that age, like, you feel like you have to figure it out. But like now, when you're in your like late 30s, you realize like even once you hit 30, like you're still young. You still have so much time. Like, these are the years where you have to kind of, test different waters and, intern here, intern there, like kind of, feel everything out. Like you have so much time on your
yeah,
side.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
22, I was just partying. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, yes, I was in the trade, but like, yeah, like I wasn't looking at fundamentals. I wasn't looking at any of that.
Yeah, like
But like,
booking trips to Cuba and like,
yeah,
No, but that's like that's the amazing thing about the trades is like you can do that. You can work all week and work your ass off and make good money and party all weekend. Like I've been to 40 countries. Like I go away all the time. I leave my work behind. I get on a plane. I go to Miami for the weekend, and that's because I work in construction. Like I have that flexibility. I run my own business. I can leave and party when I want to. So
yeah,
it's best of both worlds.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
That was one of the things too. I always noticed getting into the trades, and a lot of people were in school, like getting back to like universities and colleges and stuff like that. It's like, I remember when the weekend used to come, and it's, we'd go to the club or the bar or whatever it is, and everybody's there kind of like, looking at how many pennies they got in their pocket, to see if they can afford a drink. And you're kind of looking at everybody like, seriously, guys, So like, yeah, it's like you said, like the difference is that, you can get up and you can go start making money right away instead of getting yourself into a bunch of debt, right? And getting back to your point too, Costa, where, I think that route is kind of dying, right? And listen, like I come from, a European background. And that's what I was always taught, go get a cushy job, go to school, graduate, go to university, get a job that has benefits and that has this and that has that. And it's like, well, how come nobody ever taught me just, put yourself out there, learn as much skill as you can and just do it yourself, right? So yeah, it's funny to see because like getting back to it, like wise beyond your years, like 22 and the way you're talking. Again, we wish you nothing but the best, and I see nothing but an up and up on the horizon for you.
Yeah, but I'm like I feel so fortunate to be starting a business and like growing my skill at this time where we have podcasts and I can literally talk to anyone all around Canada about how to grow a business. Like this is so perfect and like it's great that you guys are doing this. I just hope that more young people see it and they're listening and like that they like grasp this knowledge and like run with it. So just
And
definitely
just
grateful for that though, to be able to speak to you guys.
and just so you know too, you have us as anytime you need any like mentoring or any type of guidance or whatever, and I'm pretty sure many people you meet are saying the same thing. But just know, definitely, anytime you need something, we're here to help. Costa does a lot of mentoring on his own too. So
And if we need towel work, we'll definitely call you.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Out of curiosity, have you done any big porcelain slabs yet?
No, I've done a 4x4.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know if that qualifies as big. But it was my first time using the suction cups, so I have the suction cups. I'm ready to use them.
I asked because when I built my house, we had these like 10 by 5 porcelain slabs, and I remember thinking, like, whoever's tiling this has to have a lot of skill and confidence in order to do this, and they truly did have to have a lot of skill. It took them a whole day to put up 2 pieces, right?
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, what do you think? Johnny knows all about it too. You did some too, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, I went through it first, and then this guy kind of reaped the benefits because I had 2 of them broken, and each slab was like, $2,500, right? And I remember I fired the first tiling company because it was just, like one, it's like, okay, like mistakes happen. After the second one, it's like, buddy, I'm sorry, I'm not paying for this. It's crazy,
No.
you know what I mean? And then the guy was kind of like, yeah, well, it's hard to do. It's like, well, look, I gave you the premise of this job, right? You're the one that said it's not a problem. And it's funny because, yeah, there were 12 by 6 and they're like the book match, right? And the second I was put on to these other guys, even when they came, just the way they handled them, you know, it was just like, all right, these guys know what they're doing, you know, like you said, like the suction cups, the way they were able to handle them. Like the one guy looked like, I don't know, Andre the Giant, you know, like it was like, okay, this is like, you know, this is light for him, right? And the way they like set out the plywood underneath, and they were marking it, and they knew that they cut it sitting down, you know, where like these guys were, the guys before were like putting it up and trying to see if it fits. It's like, no, man, like this is like you measure like 10 times before you pick up the slab, right? Because once you pick up that slab, it's like you got to know the angle to put it in and everything like that, because it also has to match up because they're book matched to make that design like kind of flow through. And yeah, like these slabs, that's one thing that I'm curious to see if you ever get into it, what you think of it, because it's, I remember watching the second guys do it. I was like, buddy, I'm gone.
Stressful.
Yeah, like don't even call me if it breaks, because
Those guys kicked me out of my own house. They're like, buddy, as soon
No.
as you got to get the fuck out of here. I'm telling you, it's going to be stressful. We're not going to be happy all day long.
Yeah.
And full concentration, and I can't have you around here. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I would love to work with them for a day because like I'm really good at what I know, but there's so much I don't know, and I would love to do that. I'll go work for them for free. Give them my number, please. I want to do it.
Contact it both.
Random question. You're 22. Johnny mentioned Andre the Giant. Do you know who that is?
Okay, I'm
Nope.
gonna embarrass myself here.
no,
Did you say
no,
basketball player? Is that wrong?
no, he was
He's
a wrestler.
He's this like
Oh my gosh,
older
I should have
guy,
known
like this
that. Come
giant
on.
little figure.
He was a giant. Yeah, literally, you see that face? Look at this face. Look at that close up of the face. Zoom in on that one for a sec, Costa.
A
This,
lot of construction workers.
huh?
Second row.
Nice.
Yeah, that one right there. That's exactly how the guy looked. When he pulled up, I was like,
No.
holy shit.
He's the guy that kicked me out of my own house.
I'd leave the house too if he was there. I'm out.
Here's the keys, man. See you later.
Yeah.
All right, Jada, I do want to be mindful of your time. We always ask guests at the end, if you could put like one lesson or message on a billboard for every contractor in the world to see, what would it say?
One quote I try to live by is, let me get this right. If your goal is experience, then nothing is a failure. And I think that's really important for anyone and contractors because as you go into anything you do, don't look at any outcome as a failure or a success because you're always learning and you got to look on the bright side and take the good out of every situation.
Love it. Everything's an experience. Win or
Yeah.
lose. Yeah.
Amazing.
No failures, just lessons.
Love it.
Amazing. Amazing.
Jada, this was truly a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time. If anyone wanted to reach out to you, where's the best place to find you? Instagram?
Instagram, yeah, definitely. It's at jada.may, JADAA.MAYY.
Yeah, we'll share that all below. Awesome. And we appreciate everyone listening. If you got this far, make sure you subscribe to wherever you're listening, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, so you don't miss future episodes. And if you're a contractor looking to streamline your day-to-day and alleviate a lot of the headaches that come with trades and construction on the admin side, check out Jobtable. There's a 14-day free trial, or reach out to us if you have any questions. Jada, once again, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on, Jada.
Thank you.